So we are going to start with our first lecture from this session. So we are going to start with the triple five timer, IC triple five. So most of the people who has electronics in the vocational field, they know what is the meaning of triple five timer. So in this unit number two, we are going to see the IC triple five, that is triple five timer. Then we are going to see astable, monostable, and bistable multivibrator. That is the applications of this IC triple five. So what is IC triple five? It is a timer. It is a commonly used IC and that is designed to produce a variety of output waveforms. So this is to be done with the addition of external RC network. So what we need in this triple five IC and a component R and C, so that we will design a triple five timer. As you guys know that there are multivibrators and CMOS oscillators that can be easily constructed from discrete components. So using resistors, using transistors, using capacitors, we can have this particular multivibrators. So what is multivibrator and oscillator? They are generating the output waveforms. That waveforms may be square waveforms or the sine waveforms. So what it will leads to? It will leads to produce relaxation oscillator that will be basically generating the square waveform. But as we have IC now triple five, so it is specially designed to produce required output waveform, and it has some sort of addition of component. These are the called as extra timing component that I have said, external RC network. So this device is called as triple five timers. So it is also known to be as a standard triple five timer oscillator, and it is now commonly called as the triple five timer, or we can say 555 timer. So in this 555 timer, where the name 555 timer like generate from, so it is nothing but the fact that there are three internally connected 5 kilo ohm resistors which is used to generate the two comparators reference voltage. So that's why it is called as a 555 timer. So basic, there are three resistors are there. These three resistors are nothing but 5 kilo ohm resistor, and that are nothing but the inputs to the two comparators. That's why it is called as a triple five timer. So this triple five timer IC is very cheap, means it comes with a 5 rupees or 10 rupees. Popular, useful in precision timing device, which will act as either a simple timer to generate single pulse or a long time delays, or as a relaxation oscillator that will produce a stabilizing waveform, and the duty cycle of the waveform can be varied from 50 to 100%. So basically the triple five timer will be generating the waveforms. Now where it should be useful means it has variety of applications. So it can be used as a one shot or a delay timer. It is also used to be as a pulse generation in LED and lamp flashers, in alarms and tone generations, logic clock, frequency division, power supplies, converters, and so on. So the list is endless. If you require some time, some form of time control from this particular triple five timer, the list is endless. So it comes with a stable 8-pin device that can be operated either as a very accurate monostable, bistable, or astable multivibrator. So we are going to see one by one how the monostable circuit will be, how the bistable, and how the astable multivibrator circuit will be. So this triple five timer is in the form of chip, or we can say is in the form of IC. It is also available in a bipolar 8-pin mini dual inline package, means a DIP package. It has only 8 pins, 4 on one side and 4 on other side. That is called dual inline package, DIP package. It consists of some 25 transistors, 2 diodes, and about 16 resistors arranged that is to form two comparators of flip-flop and a high current output stage. So we are going to see the basic functional block of it later on, as well as the type 555 timer IC is available with any 556 timer oscillator, which will combine two individual 555s with a single 14-pin DIP package. So we have 556, any 556, where we have two 555 timers inside it. So the CMOS version of the 555 timer, such as 7555 and LMC 555, which uses the MOSFET transistors, they are also available in the market. The internal block diagram of the 555 timer. So the diagram shown here is a simplified block diagram that is representing the internal of the 555 timer. You can see from this particular diagram, you will see that there are 8 pins, 1, 2, 3, 4 on other side, 5, 6, 7, 8 on the other side. So we can say that 4 pins on one side and 4 pins on other side. That is nothing but 8 pin IC, and it is available in two sides. So it is called as a DIP package, dual inline package. So how to remember the name of all the pins? So I have a formula for it. So we can have GTOR CTDV. So kept in memory that GTOR CTDV. So for that purpose, you have to remember the long form as well. GTOR for ground, trigger, output, reset, and CTDV for control voltage, or we can say control, threshold, discharge, and VCC, that is a supply. So these are the 8 pins of this IC 555 timer block diagram. So how these 8 pins, they are internally connected? So what we have 3 5 kilo ohm resistor. They are connected in a voltage divider manner. One transistor is there, NPN. Two operational amplifier as a comparator in there. One flip-flop is there, and there is a current driver, or we can say output driver. So these 5 element, these are the internal block of the 555 timer. 555 555 kilo ohm resistors in a voltage divider manner. It is connected in between 8 and ground, means that is connected in between VCC and ground. So you can see from this particular 555 as a voltage divider, the first part that is connected to the inverting terminal of the operational amplifier, it is nothing but a comparator 2, and the next is connected to the non-inverting terminal of the operational amplifier. It is act as a comparator 1. So you can see from this particular diagram, so the comparator 1, the non-inverting terminal, where the voltage will be according to the voltage divider rule, that will be, this will be a 1 resistor where we are going to measure the voltage. So it is 1 divided by the total number of resistor. There are 3 resistor. So here will be the voltage is equal to 1/3 VCC. So why it is 1/3 VCC? Because 1 divided by total number of resistors in the circuit, these are the 3. So we can say 1/3 VCC, because RR will get cancelled. Second, at the inverting terminal of the second comparator is called as a 2/3 VCC, because there are 2 resistor in between that point particular to the ground. So 2 divided by 3, it becomes a 2/3 VCC. So 1/3 VCC will be the non-inverting terminals comparators one's input, and inverting terminal comparator 2's input will be 2/3 VCC. Then the inverting terminal of the comparator 1, it is connected to the trigger 2. So this trigger 2 will trigger this particular operational amplifier as a comparator. So output will be S. S means a set. So output will be high, it will set the flip-flop, and in case of comparator 2, 6 number pin, it will threshold this particular comparator 2 to make flip-flop reset. While the control voltage pin, 5 number pin, that is connected to the 2/3 VCC, or we can say inverting terminal of this comparator 2, it will act as a control. So it will control the timing externally by connecting the voltage to this 5 number terminal. We are not going to use it for the monostable, stable, and bistable applications. The 7 number pin, it is connected to the collector of the NPN, base of this NPN transistor is connected to the Q bar of the flip-flop, and the 1 number pin is connected to the emitter of the NPN. And finally, from the flip-flop, we'll have output driver. So where the third number pin, it should be connected to the external world. And lastly, the reset pin that is connected to the flip-flop, and it is inverted one. So it is called as active low input. So for that purpose, this 4 number pin is always connected to VCC, so that after the bubble it will be 0 to the flip-flop. It will not reset the flip-flop. So this is the IC555 timer block diagram. So as I have said that the pin number 1 is ground. The ground pin connects the 555 timer to the negative, or we can say ground supply rail. The pin number two is the negative input to comparator number 1. So what it will do, so as we have the positive input, or we can say non-inverting input of the comparator 1, it is 1/3 VCC. So if we have to set the flip-flop, what we need, so the inverting terminal, it should be less than the non-inverting terminal. So non-inverting terminal is actually 1/3 VCC. So the trigger pin, it should be a negative pulse, and it should go less than 1/3 VCC, so that the non-inverting terminal will be greater than the inverting terminal, and this comparator will set the flip-flop. So what here the statement tell, a negative pulse on this pin sets the internal flip-flop when the voltage drop below 1/3 VCC, causing the output to switch from low state to high state. So it will set the flip-flop. This is a pin number 2 trigger. This particular pin number 2 is very useful when we are going for the monostable application. Pin number 3, this is the output pin, and it is drive, or it can drive any TTL circuit. It is capable of sourcing or sinking up to 200 milliampere of current. So we can directly connect LEDs or motors, which is controlled with 1.5 volt supply and 200 milliampere of current. We can have a small speakers or LEDs that should be connected to the pin number 3. If we require the higher number of current, or we can say higher current and higher voltages, we require different circuitry for this. So this 3 number terminal is directly connected to LED to make the LED on and off, or motors which is working on 155 volt and up to the 200 milliampere. And it is also used to sink the current, so it will take the current from external world inside the IC555. So this is the pin number 3, where we'll get the output waveform, that is a square waveform. Reset pin number 4, this pin is used to reset the internal flip-flop controlling the state of the output, that is pin number 3. So we are going to use this particular pin to reset the flip-flop whenever we require. If the output remains on for most of the time, so if we require to reset the circuit, we can press this 4 number pin, so that it will reset the flip-flop and output will be resetted. So this is active low input, and it is generally connected to logic 1. Logic 1 means plus 5 volt. When not used, to prevent any unwanted unsetting of the output. So we are not going to use it basically for resetting purpose. We are going to connect it to the VCC, so that after the bubble, it will go inside the flip-flop as a 0. So this is not going to reset the flip-flop. Pin number 5, as I have told you that this is a controlled voltage pin. So this pin will control the timing of the IC555 by overriding the 2/3 VCC level. So you can see here the pin 5 is connected to this particular inverting terminal of the comparator 2 of the operational amplifier. So what will happen? Control voltage at the external connected voltage, it is given to this particular inverting pin. It will create some difference than the 2/3 VCC. So we are going to override the 2/3 VCC level of the voltage divider network. So by applying a voltage to this pin, the width of the output signal can be varied independent of the external RC circuit. So if we are not going to use this particular control voltage, so how we are going to use it? We are going to connect a 10 nanofarad, or we can say 0.01 microfarad capacitor, and we are going to connect it to the ground, so it will eliminate if any noise is available in the socket. Pin number 6, that is called a threshold, the input to the comparator number 2. So this will be the input to the comparator number 2, that is the non-inverting terminal, and it is used to when it is greater than 2/3 VCC level, then it is going to get reset the flip-flop, so the output will be low. So it exceeds the 2/3 VCC, causing the output of switch from high to low. This pin connect directly to the RC timing circuitry. So this 6-number pin, it should be connected to the RC timing circuitry, so that the capacitor charging will create a voltage that is greater than the 2/3 VCC. The 7-number pin, it is a discharge pin where the capacitor is going to get discharged through this pin. So it is connected directly to the collector of the NPN, which is used to discharge the timing capacitor to ground through this particular what we call as a transistor. So the capacitor is going to get discharged through the collector to the emitter and finally to the ground. So it will be done when the output at pin number 3 it will switches to low. Finally, the pin number 8, that is a supply voltage. This is the power supply pin, and for general purpose TTL 555, this timer is in between, the voltage is in between 4.5 volt and 15 volt. So we can vary the voltage of this 555 timer from 4.5 volt to 15 volt. Are you listening me? If you have any queries regarding up to this point, you can ask. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay. We are seeing IC 555 timer where we are going to we are seeing the internal structure of the 555 timer. So within the IC, the structure is 3 5K resistors, 1 transistor, 2 comparator, 1 flip-flop, 1 output driver, and all these pins and their functions are there. So can we proceed for the next part?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this 555 timer, that names come from the fact that there are 3 5K resistors that I have already told you that. So they are connected as like a voltage divider network between the supply voltage 8-number pin and a ground 1-number pin. So the 555 means this 555 resistors, they are series resistive network, and where they are connected actually. So the 1/3 VCC is connected to the non-inverting terminal of the comparator number 1, and the 2/3 VCC that is connected to the inverting terminal of the comparator 2. So 2/3 VCC and 1/3 VCC. So 2/3 VCC at the inverting terminal of the comparator 2 and 1/3 VCC at the non-inverting terminal of the comparator 1. It is very important to know the detailing of this particular 555 resistors and where it is connected. So kept in mind that 1/3 VCC is connected to the non-inverting terminal of the comparator 1, and the 2/3 VCC is connected to the inverting terminal of the comparator 2. So the two comparators you can see here, comparator number 1 and comparator number 2, that will produce voltage, or we can say they will give us output according to the inverting and non-inverting terminals voltage comparison. So you can see here the inverting terminal of the comparator 1 is nothing but a trigger pin 2, while the non-inverting terminal of the comparator 2 is a threshold pin. So how it should be done? So it should be done by manually triggering the pin number 2. Then we are going to have a threshold voltage that is connected externally to the RC network, so that the capacitor is going to get charged to give us a voltage greater than the 2/3 VCC, and again finally it will discharge through pin number 7 to have the voltage that is less than the 2/3 VCC, and so on. So output from both these comparator these are nothing but the input to the flip-flop. So this input is nothing but a S input and R input. So it will either produce high or low level at the comparator 1 or at the comparator 2. In this way, they will set or reset the flip-flop. So output Q based on these two state inputs. So depending upon the S and depending upon the R, if the S and R both are 0, we'll get NC, that is no, what we call normally will get output that is equal to no change. If S is 0, R is 1, we are going to get reset the flip-flop. S is 1, R is 0, we are going to get the reset. S is 1 for setting the flip-flop. So there should be no condition like this that S and R both are 1, because in case of SR flip-flop, we are getting the forbidden stage. So the 1/3 and 2/3 VCC will lead us to S is equal to 1 or R is equal to 1. They will not be equal to 1 simultaneously. So the output of the flip-flop, where it should be connected, so it will going to be connected to the output driver. So this output driver is connected to the load, means at the pin number 3 we have a load where we are going to connect the LED or motor or whatever the external equipment or device is there. So it will produce the high or low voltage level at the output pins, or we can say the square waveform, high and low. So the most common use of IC555 timer oscillator is a simple astable oscillator. So astable oscillator means what? It is going to give us a square waveform continuously for forever. So how we are going to get it? So we need two resistors and a capacitor that is connected extra to this particular IC555 IC. We also required one capacitor for the control voltage that I have already mentioned, that the 5th number terminal control voltage should be connected to the ground with using 0.01 microfarad capacitor, so it will eliminate the noises inside this particular IC. So the 555 timer oscillator chip can also be connected in a variety of way, or we can say different way. So it will produce monostable. Monostable means what? It will produce a one stage only, or bistable, it will produce two states, or we can say astable, means it is always forever give us a square waveform. So today we are going to see how the 555 timer can be used in a monostable way. So for this case, what we required is we required IC555 circuit. So in that IC555 IC, and we required two resistors and two capacitors. So where it should be connected, so it is very simple. As you know, the 2-number pin, that 2-number pin is a trigger. It should be connected to the trigger circuit. So what is the trigger circuit? Trigger circuit is simple, where the VCC is connected to resistor R2. R2's other end is connected to pin number 2. Pin number 2 is connected to the switch, and the other end of switch is connected to the ground. So what it will do? It will, if we press the switch, it will trigger at pin number 2. So it will give us a waveform. So why it is called as a negative trigger pulse? Because you can see here the pin number 8 and 4 directly connected to the VCC, that may vary from +5 to 15 volt. So this VCC is given to this R2 and it is finally given to 2. Means 2 is always going to get high state. So what will happen when we press the switch? When we press the switch, 2 is automatically get connected to the ground and we are going to get a low state. So that's why we are calling it as a negative trigger pulse. It is going from logic 1 to logic 0. And if we release the pulse, what will happen? It is going to get back again to the logic 1. So that's why it is called as a negative trigger pulse. So this is the connection for the pin number 2, so that will provide some trigger to it. And what we have in the next is a pin number 7. This pin number 7 is called as a discharge pin. Pin number 6 is a threshold pin, where the pin number 6, as you know, that it is connected to the comparator number 2, and finally it is connected to a capacitor C1 and it is connected to the ground. So this is the main circuit, that is called R1 C1. So this will be the timing component of the circuit. So the timing component, or T, the pulse width of the monostable output, it is solely depend upon R1 and C1. So value of R1 and C1 which will leads to the timing, or we can say the wavelength of the monostable output, and it has a formula 1.1 R1 into C. We are not going to derive the formula how it come, but we are going to directly take the formula. What we have in case of the pin number 5, the pin number 5 where we call it as a control voltage. It is just disturbing the output waveform, so that we are connected it to the ground, and we are connected it to the ground through a capacitor called 0.01 microfarad. So it will going to reject the noises if they are available inside the socket. The pin number 7, that pin number 7 discharge is connected to R1, and finally it connected to the VCC. 8 pin is always connected to VCC as is the source of this particular timer socket, and the 4 number pin, it is connected to VCC as it is connected to the reset terminal, or we can say resetting of the flip-flop, and it is active low, that's why it is connected to the VCC. So the circuits working is very simple. I'm going to explain in this particular diagram, and then we are going to see one by one. So how it will be done? So it will be done by giving a pulse. So the pulse is given to this particular negative trigger pulse switch. If we press it, what will happen? The negative pulse will be gone to pin number 2. So as you guys know, the pin number 2 is nothing but the inverting terminal of the comparator number 1. So what will happen if it is less than 1/3 VCC? This comparator will set the flip-flop, and the setting the flip-flop will leads to have output is equal to high. So this output will be high, and at that time what will happen? The 8 number pin connected to VCC, through that resistor R1, the current will flow 7, 6, and it will goes to the capacitor. So capacitor gets charged. It will charge to the VCC. So as you know, that 6 number pin is connected to where? The 6 number pin is connected to the non-inverting terminal of comparator number 1. So which will leads to, if it is greater than the 2/3 VCC, that particular comparator number 2's output will be 1, means the flip-flop will be reset, and resetting the flip-flop will leads to output at pin number 3 will be 0. So in this case, what will happen? If the output of the pin number 3 is 0, it will leads to pin number 7 to discharge the capacitor to the ground. So pin number 7, it is connected to the collector of the transistor. It is directly connected to the 1 number pin through emitter, and the capacitor gets path to just get discharge through the pin number 7 to pin number 1. So in this way, this particular monostable means if the pulse is given, we are going to get a 1 pulse of the square waveform, which has a duration that is called as T, and that duration of the time is depending upon the timing component R1 and C1, as this charging of the capacitor is dealing with the value of R1 and C1, which will give us a monostable output. So if we go with the internal block diagram of this particular IC555 timer, you can see when I hit the start button, or we can say negative trigger pulse at pin number 2, what will happen? If it is greater than the 1/3 VCC, what will happen? The pin number 1, it is setting the flip-flop, output will be 1, 3 number pin will be 1. At that time the capacitor will, this transistor will work. This 6 number pin, till that the output will be high, and 6 number pin is connected to the capacitor. The 8 number pin connected to VCC through R1, 7, 6, the capacitor is going to get charged. It will going to get charged up to 2/3 VCC. At 2/3 VCC, what will happen? If it just exceed the 2/3 VCC, pin number 2, comparator number 2's output will be high, and the flip-flop will be reset. If the flip-flop is reset, this particular transistor will be off, and in this way we are going to get the discharge of this particular capacitor C1, and we are going to get the output is equal to 0. So we are going to get a pulse width that having a value equal to 1.1 into R1 and C1. So this is the description is given when a negative pulse is applied to trigger input pin monostable multivibrator is configured. The internal comparator number 1 detects the input and sets the state of the flip-flop, changing the output from low to high. This action in turn off the discharge transistor connected to pin number 7, thereby removing the short circuit across the external timing capacitor C1. So this action will allow the timing capacitor to start charge up through resistor R1 until the voltage crosses the capacitor, that is reaches to 2/3 VCC. So this internal voltage divider network, at this point the comparator output will go high, the comparator number 2. So it will turn the on the transistor and the discharge the capacitor to ground through the pin number 7. So in this case, the capacitor charging pulse will be fed through the what we call as the negative trigger pulse. We are just getting the pulse or square output wave from 0 to 1, while the capacitor charging will leads to the output of 1 goes to 0. So the value of this particular pulse width, it depending upon solely resistor R1 and C1, so that the formula is having 1.1 R1 into C1. So this causes the output to change its state back to original state low, waiting another trigger pulse to get it high. So if we are not giving trigger here for forever, we are not getting the pulse width, or we can say output is equal to high. So that's why it is called as a monostable. A single trigger give us a single pulse. So this is why it is called as a monostable. Only one state is continuously stable, that is low. We are going to get only one pulse. So the monostable 555 trigger on a negative going pulse, that is applied to pin number 2, and this trigger pulse must be much shorter than the output pulse width, allowing time for the timing capacitor to charge and then discharge fully. So this is a monostable 555 timer socket. So as we know that the timing capacitor C1 and the R1 having the product with 1.1, which will leads to what we call as a equation T. So the T is in seconds, when R is in ohms and C is in farads. So if we have to calculate the value of the time, if we need a time, then we can take the capacitor C1's value, and according to it we can calculate the value of R1. So if we have a like example, if we have to produce a time, if a 10 microfarad timing capacitor is used, so the value of the capacitors is given, the value of resistor we have to find it out. If we have a output voltage that is a square waveform of having a time duration or time delay of 500 millisecond. So 500 millisecond is like something 0.5 seconds. So if we arrange the formula in this way, that the R should be calculated as T upon 1.1 into C is equal to 0.5 divided by 1.1 into 10 microfarad, which will leads to 45.5 kilo ohm resistor. If this resistor with the 10 microfarad capacitor is used, we can generate a 0.5 seconds monostable output. So if we have to calculate the value for the timing, resistors are required to produce the required time constant. Now in case of us, that the 45.5 kilo ohm resistor and 10 microfarad capacitor is needed to generate a 500 millisecond pulse, or we can say 0.5 second pulse. If suppose the 45.5 kilo ohm does not exist, what will happen? So for that purpose, what we require is we have to take the 47 kilo ohm resistor, and which having some sort of tolerances of 10% to 1%. So if we have the tolerances, we can have the new calculated value, that will be a 417 milliseconds. So what is the the difference is a 17 millisecond, that is unacceptable if we need a very sharp, or we can say a single timing thing. So what we need is a resistor. So we can take two resistors value, and that should be connected in a series to adjust the pulse width to the exact desired value. So the, or we can say a different capacitors can be chosen, so that we will have a value equal to 0.5 seconds. We can go for the other circuit where the resistor is to be adjusted in a such a way that here, look at here in the circuit having uh, switching action at pin number 2, or we can say negative pulse at pin number 2, triggering action that should be done it inside it. And there is a circuit where we have 150 ohm trimmer, and it is connected to the other resistors like 1 kilo ohm, 10 kilo ohm, 100 kilo and 1 mega ohm. So which particular socket is required or which particular timing is required. On that case, we can have a switchable 555 timer. If we require 1 millisecond timer, we can go for the 1 kilo ohm resistor. If we require 10 millisecond, we can go for 10 kilo ohm. If we require 0.1 second, we can go for 100 kilo ohm, and if we require 1 second, we can go for 1 mega ohm with the 820 nanofarad capacitor. So using this particular arrangement, we can have a switchable 555 timer. And this is the case where if we choose the value of the resistor and the value of the capacitor, or we can say timing. So the capacitors and timings and resistors value is indicated in this monostable nomograph, where the monostable values can be calculated. Look at here, if we have to require 100 second, so what we required for the 100 second, we required 100 microfarad capacitor and 1 mega ohm resistor. So using this, we can create a 100-second pulse. If we go for 10-second pulse, we can have a value of R is equal to 10 mega ohm with the capacitor value at this, R is equal to 1 mega ohm with the capacitor value of this, and so on. So using this particular nomograph, we can calculate the monostable 555 timer uh, values. So thank you for listening this particular lecture.